So we're really in sort of like the middle of an idea. And let's go to page Kuf Kaf Gimel and read the top so we can get back into the idea. So now we're going to start working the word Bereshis. So it's a Bereshis Baro Elokim. Then he says, Eis HaShemayim ve'Eis HaOretz. Then he said Shita. So it sounds like it's a continuation of that first idea that he made, that Bereshis created these six. Bereshis Barashis. So he spells it out. So he says Alaihu. I think it means that it's up above them. And then Kuhu Lasata. So he made it up above, and then all the rest of them are down below. And then the rest of them, Talyan Beshiva de Gogalta. Everything about them, what's down below, is rooted in the Sheva of the Gogalta. Now, we had gotten to, we were in the middle, actually, of a piece which is on Pei Tes, number Pei Tes. Now, let me find Pei Tes. Okay. That's an interesting little thing that he says over here, I think. Okay, so let's just read down from, I don't know where's a good place to read. So we'll start from Pei Zion. So he said, Vitalia, so he said, V'Shevet Tikunik Golta Tachtonim Shal Zer Anpin, Toluya Mikoich Shevet Tikunik Golta. So we said we're going to say Toluya means rooted in the Shevet Tikun of the Golta Al Yonim Shal Erik Anpin. Ki or ha-chesed the reish the lo isya the mislavish begugolta, a mispasha b'shevet tikun gugolta. Nimshal ayidecha be'erik anpin lamata. So it says nimshach, and then through using erik anpin, it sounds like as a vehicle. This light is able to go downwards anpin lamata. Morisha so lazer anpin, and ultimately it winds up with zer anpin. And meir b'shevet tikun gugolta shall rosh zer anpin, and it shines into his head. So that's where we're going. We've seen treatments of this idea before. Awesome. Okay, so let's go down here. I got to bring this up a little bit. 1 second. Okay, there. Okay, let's go down here. It says, excuse me. It says by my Rashbi. He said, Bir Yoser. It explains this in greater detail. He said, Yud Gimel Shonim. So this is the way he goes like this. The 13 years. V'yom echad, nishlam na'asa ish gemor. So the person now is a statutory man, let's say. V'achakach sarak shiva shanim mecherim, then he needs another 7 years, ad sheyeh bo esrim shana, until he comes to the age of 20. K'dei lahashlim the sakim shiva dikunik golta duration, the zer anpin, but he adds that part in. So he needs an extra 7 years in order to be able to make a tikkun in the Shevet de Gugolta of the Reisha the Zeranpin. So I assume that when he means the Adam, he's talking about his Zeranpin. That's what thinking means, but it also refers to us tangentially or manifest in us. Al derek shenisakta b'reisha de Erik Anpin can also the same way that he wants to say, maybe by for us, is the same way that it works in Erik Anpin, it works in Zeranpin. Okay, anyway, I don't know which one is up, which one is Zeranpin, but we'll see. But the Chidus Hakdama Zu, so in the beginning of this intro, B'Shem Sifra D'tzniuta Shem, so this we're quoting from over there in the what was it, in the Maimari Rashbi. He says, Gugalta Vatala de Badocha, so he starts naming them. So he says, V'Kruma Davira, V'Ramanaki, Mitzcha, Rav the Ravim, Ve'enim Bekichim, V'chutma, V'chutma. And then after that, as they are, let's say, put into proper place, Nimshchu Bechem Zayim Oros. So after this count of the 7, that's when, now I'm not sure how that worked exactly, but it was the creation of these 7. Then after that, 7 oros come in, min osam zayim yomin kadmoim, the reisha iloch on nikra ATIK yomim. I'm just trying to picture how this works, because we have the concept that the 7 of the zat of ATIK yomim, I thought, produced these spheros in the head. Let's say these tikkunim in the head, which are, tikkunim means they're channels, these channels in the head. And now he says that after the channels in the head are put in, then there's a panemius to them. That's what I understand. So it's all, maybe it's happening at the same time, but he's using it sequentially. He's saying that it's 7 years. So at the same way, this is what happens, but we're talking about Zeranpin. So the Kabbalah is like this. We're talking here about the chesed that's in the Gugolta. So let's understand what we're talking about. We're in the chesed the Erik Anpin, and we have this chesed, this mislavish in there. So this chesed has a name. The name is Yomam. Just looking at it, it's the gematria 80, I don't know. So anyway, Yom the kol el kuhul shevazu yomim. So it's the day that has all the other 7 days in it. So this then from here is the spread of the seven lights that we talked about into the Tikunim, but the Gugolta HaNiskar, the Erik Anpin, Moshev Chesed Datek Yomim Asher Begugolta Derich. Well, this is getting shorter. Okay, I'm back. I'm kind of butchering up this translation, so we'll get it together. Let me go back to, so he said, well, okay, that's okay. So he says, let's go to where it says, Al Bechinas HaChesed the ATIK Yomim, the Islavish Begogolta, Shucha Chesed the Erik Anpin, Vina Chesed Nikra Yomam. So that's where we're at. The Chesed is a big bundle. Yom the Kol Kuhul Shiva Yomim. So it has within it the entire 7 Yomim, including itself. So since it has all of that in it, now he's changing it from Gugolta, from Tikunim to Oros that are going into the Tikunim. B'sheva Tikuni Gugolta Haniskarim Darich Memakom Moshev Chesed Da'atik, in the place this all starts coming out, I guess, in the place where what's the right word for Moshev, of the position of the place where the Chesed of Atik settles. Atik Yomin settles Asher Begugolta the Rich, which is in the Gugolta of Erik Anpin. So now we'll be saying like this: in the 7 years that go between 13 and 20. Sha'achar Yud Gimel Shonim Nimshkul Sheva Oros Min Yisod the Atik, from the Yisod of Atik now come out 7 lights, each one for a year, he says. The Atik Yomim, Mesheva de Gugolta the Zer Anpin, and where do they go? Into the Sheva de Gugolta of Zer Anpin. That's what's happening here in this time. So what did he say? He says that the Yom Kula, which is in the skull of Erik Anpin, it actually generates light into all of the 7 Tikunim of the Gugolta. And then he reverts back to the other idea. Which is that over the course of 7 years, so add 7 onto it, this is as the light comes into Zer Anpin, which means coming towards us. So he said, so he said, so if you looked at the image of the 7 Tikunim of the Gugolta, Zer Anpin, Meforata Sifra D'tzniuta, the Kamon, so here we are, the Perik base, Zayin Sham, V'yesh Od Inyan Shal Ha'arazayin Tikunim Gugolta, the Erik Anpin, B'zer Anpin, there's more to be said about that, B'sod Iver Shal Zayin Chadashim, L'tzorach Panemios Hamochin. So there's more there. I stopped there. So the rest here is we're on our own. We're in a new piece. We have a few minutes. So let's go over here and let's go to the top and read. I think I might have there is this phrase ad yakiro di yakirusa. So all the Meforshim say, and he says that this refers to the beard of Eric Anpin. And ultimately, all of this flows into the beard of Eric Anpin and ultimately falls down into the skull of Zer Anpin. Then the next one says, V'ha'aretz, the word V'ha'aretz. Tinyana, love b'chushban. So I don't know what this means. It means that we learn this, but not by its count. So he says, Itmar, it said like this, in Mahachad is Latia Nafka, Dechsiv min Adoma Asher Arara Hashem. So I'm not sure what that means. Latia is Lashon curse. He said, it's Latia Nafka, comes after the curse. Dechsiv, and with this perfect Adama Asher Arara Hashem. The Hashem curse. Okay, so we'll stop there. That's enough for me right now. So let's go over here to the blurb, and it says Acha Shabir Keshevet Tikuni Gegolda Nirmazim B'Shevet Tevos Shel Apasik Harishon Bereshis Bara Yivoyer Ata Ki Shlosha Asa Tikuni Dikna, the 13 Tikkun of the Dikna, near Mazim b'shlosh esrei tevos shel hapasuk hasheni, which is what? Haisu tohu uvohu. B'tevos ha'aretz, shebedachidus hapasuk, ein b'binyan, the tevos, it's not one of the ones you count. B'yivor ki tevos ha'aretz, who sowed ha'malachim. So the word ha'aretz refers to the malachim who died. Shehem Nesakdim agedereb shlosha esrei tikuni dikna hanirmazim b'shar shlosh esrei tevos apostle. So this refers to the destruction, or let's see, of the kings. So I'm sorry that I didn't really get a chance to look at this ahead of time, so we're learning it together for the first time. So he says Hine Pasuk Rishon Shel Parshas Bereshis Mistayim B'Tevis Haaretz. So he says the first part of Bereshis stops with the word. Let me read it. He said the end of the Pasuk ends with the word Haaretz. The Sabak L'Zecha Maskil HaPasuk Hasheni B'Tevis Haaretz, and the next one begins with the word Haaretz too. So he says of Alzeh Amar V'Haaretz, and that's why it says and the land, Tinyan a second time. Ki Tevis Haaretz Hasheni, because when you say it the second time, Shal Pasuk Hasheni, the second pasuk, Lav B'chushban. Now what does that mean? Ein B'cheshban the Tikunim Hanirmazim B'Tevis HaPasukim. So it's not part of the 6 that we just talked about, of the Tikunim that we were talking about, the 7 Tikunim. V'dahainu Lo b'cheshben hashevet tikuni gegolta. That's what b'cheshben means. So it's not at the count of the 7 in the gegolta. On their mazeh b'shevet tevos shal pasuk rishon, as we said previously. Kafri shidus bar le'el. Lo b'cheshben shlosh esri tikuni dikna on their mazim, and also not in the count of the 13 of the dikna. B'shlosh esri tevos. As we go on in that pasuk, that second pasuk, chesed tohu, like that. Gamoshi is bar v'chemsha. We're going to explain that as we go along. V'ha itmer, and it says like this: V'inyan zer kavar l'mad b'makom acher. So we learned this previously. He said what? V'inyan hu ki tevis v'haaretz, who klalos hasheva malach shemesim. Or kalalos. It includes and incorporates all of the malachim. So the word haaretz refers to what happened to them. What? All the shavel malachim that died. Shehem bebechinas malchus nikritz aretz, because it's malchus. Now, I'm just puzzled why he says that, why you would say in jump, and you would say that haaretz, which means malchus, would hold all the rest of them, including the malchus of the nikudim that broke. And this is the malchus that's really rebuilt now, which is built like that. Is latia nafka. It comes out from a curse. And I guess these are 2 different words of discussing curses. Ki ba'olam hatohu, because in the lower world, naflo hamalachim l'soch haklipos hanikrohim arurim, uve'ez tikun hamalachim heim yotzim min haklipos, but at the time of the tikun hamalachim, they come out from the klipos. V'hu ke'inyan tikun hamalchus shena'asach yedech Noach, which was done through the agency of Noach. All of these things need to be looked at. So he said, Shahotzi as a malchus hanikra adama min aklalos shel aklipos, because he was able to bring out malchus, which is called by the name adama, which means ground. So ground or earth. Min aklala, from the curse of the klipos, the chesed kamosha kosev, like it says like this, Zeh yenachameni memaasenu umitzavon yodenu. So this will give me comfort from what we have done, and from the sadness that we produce, I guess, from that we've worked on, that we've made. Min ha'adama asher arad Hashem, from the land that Hashem cursed. Ukashe nesakenes ha'malchus v'yotzes min haklipos he nikras eretz, and then it's called eretz. V'zecho b'inyan tevis v'ha'aretz. So that's why the pasuk, I really have to look at the pasuk, I have it in front of me. That word, it's not really about any of the tikkunim. But it's the malchus. Now when we use the word eretz, to really see this again. So he says in the sakenes ayedera b'tikkunim v'chein tevis v'ha'aretz eina b'chlal cheshbon the. So therefore, it's not part of the tikkunim. Anir mazin b'shachotevos shebechem shekapasuk ki ne bechem shekapasuk, because as the pasuk goes on, it's written like this. And so we'll stop right here, and tomorrow we'll pick up the next sentence, and we'll see what we do. Okay, kol tov.